And it's
And
already
it
recording.
automatically records.
Look at that.
Look at that. Oh,
I think people are already.
yeah.
Angie's in.
Oh.
Oh, we have to admit.
Oh dear God.
It's okay. Scoot your chair over. I'll scoot my chair. I'll put a chair over there.
Yeah.
I got you.
You got it?
Yeah.
Oh, there's another one. Oh my goodness.
Are they just going in or?
I'm running away. I'm running away from that one.
Yeah. That's fine. Oh, Zoom user. Hello, Zoom user.
Hi.
That sounds like. Hi, I'm the Zoom user.
Okay. Well,
Oh, someone turned their camera on even.
keep your camera on.
I love it. We can see a live human.
Okay. All right, well, we're just getting ready to get started.
Okay, well.
6:02.
It's 6:02. We will rock and roll.
If you lean on that wall, they can't see you.
Oh my goodness. I have to stand like right here and then you
You want me
can.
to put a chair there?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so as usual, we're gonna talk about whatever anyone wants to talk about. And those of you that are on Zoom, type your questions in, or we can take a second to unmute you guys. But really, we want to talk about the market, and then any questions. So probably the first thing to talk about is what do we think, or what are we seeing in regards to this banking debacle? What are our thoughts? What are our questions? Things like that. How is this going to affect real estate and real estate investing? So SVB goes away, and then today we have a problem with Credit Suisse. Okay, what does that mean for us as real estate investors? Actually, what's it mean for even real estate brokers? This is something a lot of people aren't thinking about right now. So when Credit Suisse comes in, oh, Zoom user, you are Brandon. I see you. Mr. Mills. When Credit Suisse, they had to get $50 billion from the Swiss equivalent of the Federal Reserve. And SVB, of course, went under. What if you're a local regional bank or your Bank of America, what's your response to this? Okay, are you going to make lending easier or harder?
I would say harder.
Bingo. Are you going to increase lending criteria? Are you going to require, so one of the things that's going to come out of this is, even though interest rates may decline for a moment, we're also going to go through this weird version of a large scale credit pinch. Because, so in the US, 50% of loans happen at local banks. People don't understand this. Local banks drive massive amounts of commerce, massive. So the Federal Reserve is now going to go around and poke every bank and go, you got enough money? You got enough money? You got enough money? You got enough money? And these local banks are going to start tightening up their criteria. Well, don't you think Fannie and Freddie are going to just do the same thing? So one thing that could possibly, and I'll bet money is going to happen, is we're probably going to have 6 months of a credit squeeze. Okay, and what I mean by this is I'm talking higher loan to values, okay, larger margins, okay, that's the spread between what they charge you and what they sell for, okay, which in turn for us means higher interest rates. And then for us, real specifically as investors, I think the investor will get gouged more. Okay, and the reason I say that is the investor loan is always viewed as a more risky loan. So I think the investor will get a little more pressure on it because of this. And the interest rate for the investor is going to sit a little bit higher. You guys have anything to add? Zoom have anything to add? Any questions, thoughts, ideas, recommendations?
Because of fear, is that why?
Well, because it's a large systemic problem, and then they pinched it real quick to shut it off. But in the banking system that's this intertwined, they don't know the ripples. So this is like the first rock that got dropped in the lake. They don't know the additional ripples. So a bank naturally responds by making things more difficult to slow that down just in case.
Okay. Buffer.
Buffer. Yeah, great way of thinking about it. Buffer, margin of safety. But if you're the chief credit officer at a local bank or the underwriter at the local bank, are you like, man, everything's golden, we should just give everyone a loan? I mean, you know, Molly needs another development loan, go right ahead, we'll just give it to her. Or they're gonna go, yeah, you know what, Molly's awesome, but I want 5% more reserves.
Right.
And I think this is the implications of this. This hasn't happened yet, but be prepared for it. See, most investors didn't operate as investors in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12, unless you're old and been doing this for a while. Part of the 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 environment was it was just hard to buy stuff because they were so stringent. And then as the economy got better, things got easier. Okay, now don't take this as Debbie Downer. Take this as like, this is opportunity. So if everyone's getting pinched, is everyone getting pinched? Yes, everyone's getting pinched, which means that a lot of people will just stop fighting. Just know you've got to fight for your loan more. You've got to go through more underwriting. You've got to maybe get a slightly better deal like we had just talked about. Okay, so another thing that came out of this is interest rates went down. So interest rates did go down this week. We hit like 6.5. They floated back up a little bit again today. But now, when you go and look at what's called break evens, and you can see where the stock market is betting where long-term interest rates are going. Right now, they're betting that long-term interest rates are in the mid-5s by the end of the year. Okay, and the stock market was betting last week that the Federal Reserve was going to give us a 50 basis point hike. Now the stock market, literally, that was Friday. Now, not even a week later, the stock market's betting that we're going to get a 25 basis point hike from the Federal Reserve. And now my personal feeling is the Federal Reserve has to give us this hike even if we don't need it. Because he just came out when he was in front of Congress, good old Papa Powell, Jerome Powell, and said to everyone, and he gave us that Jackson Hole speech. Everything's too good. I'm going to beat up on the economy. It's all going down. Okay. So they can't, otherwise they make this crisis look worse. They can't come out and say, oh, we're only going to do 0. They have to do this because they can't play chicken with the market. They have to stay on course for what they're doing. Another thing that's happening right now, and those of you that are brokers are seeing this, where are we at with inventory? Is it high or stupid low?
Stupid low.
Stupid low. So inventory is very low because this market is breaking into kind of this tail of 3 markets, right? So I just call median, you know, the middle. Okay, so in Marysville, let's just say what that is. That's a $650,000 house. Okay, so we've got this that's slightly above the median, and this is kind of what you would call your move up buyer. They're basically anywhere in that median price and move up. This is your first time buyer. Down here at the bottom, we've got luxury up top. Luxury being like 1.5 times the median. The luxury market is moving very slow. Okay. Unless they're getting a deal. Okay, you're starting to see some deals in this market. And you're still seeing people with cash who just, they see something, they want it, it's a one-of-a-kind thing, waterfront property, boom, they step up and buy it. The median is not selling their home because they don't want to change in a 3% rate and go get a 6. Normally speaking, for this move-up buyer to trade in their home is going to cost them maybe $800 more a month. You know, right now it's going to cost them $1,600, $1,800 more a month. It doesn't make financial sense. So this is where we're missing our large chunk of inventory. What's also then happening is this first-time home buyer market is on freaking fire. Have you seen any bidding wars?
Yeah, there's always a market for first-time home buyers.
And there's always a market. Well, and then in the last recession, what did you crush?
First-time home buyers.
First-time home buyers. So this right here, like if I was to say what's going to be the safest part of the market, it's going to be right somewhere around this median and below. This is our safety zone as a real estate investor. I'm not going up here unless I've got, you know, balls of steel, cojones, or freaking a smoking deal with a lot of margin I could cut out in order to get rid of. So how do I stay in this median and first time? Because this is where everything's happening. So to give you some exact examples here in Marysville, we had 10 offers on a property in the Meadows last week. Sold for 52,000 over list.
What was this?
450 sold for 505.
Just so ridiculous.
Yes, which is still ridiculous.
We were selling those for.
Yeah, they were 180 grand brand new. Absolutely. One of those homes started my construction company when I wrapped it in the last recession. So this first time home buyer is just hotter than a pistol. And then we've got this median, you know, home price who they're kind of locked in. We're calling them, you know, lock-ins or interest rate hostages. So as an investor, I'm thinking in this bracket right now, unless I can go here just for safety and security. Because this right here, whether people want to admit it, this bank failure and the Fed's quick bailout of them was a major red flag. That's cracks in our financial system. Matter of fact, that may mark the start of the recession. So what's happening in my crazy ADD brain when I saw this was the first thing I thought was, in history, we'll call that the recession of 2023. They'll say that was the starting point. Here's why. Recessions start when fear happens. And then when this fear happens, people, they go, you know what? I don't need to go out to eat this week. Oh, I don't need to go out. Or maybe they go out to eat, but they don't order drinks. Or they say, you know, I don't need to buy those new pair of shoes from Amazon real quick. They just slow down. That slowing down of the consumer, because it's such a large part of our economy, is what changes things. Okay, so this was just my quick look at the market. Anyone have any questions?
Is this fear misplaced?
That's a great question. The answer is I don't know. But what I can tell you is it's massive herd mentality, and that herd mentality never creates winners. So here's what we're going to talk about. We want to be greedy when everyone is fearful. Okay? But we want to buy with a margin of safety. So we don't want to be dumb, but we want to try to create things in order to make this happen. So I want to give a couple of examples about it. So in the office, Lance and Robin put on a listing on Friday for $610,000. And it's in Marysville West, right over there in Toledo. It is I think it's a 1,700-foot Rambler. It's like a 1.75 and a 2-car garage. Okay. And it says right in the listing, it's on 2 lots. And saw it come on, chatted with Robin and Lance about it. So we wrote them a full price offer. Okay, because it says 2 lots right in the description. On the second lot is probably a 1,700 square foot shop. And this lot is about 16,000 square feet. And no one else even made an offer, and they accepted my offer on Monday. Okay, so this fear that we talked about happens, and all of a sudden it slows this down. But when you look at this, this is a pretty good deal. So this Rambler over there in Marysville West is worth about $550. Now let's call it $525. Let's be conservative. This Rambler is worth $525. Okay, right now. In its current, without flipping it, without doing anything.
On its own separate lot.
Yep. It literally looks like this. This is Marine View Drive. And it's, Mary's West, if you don't know, it's like drive over past the taco truck. And as soon as you get onto the res, it's the first one on the right. The road comes in like this. And the lots go like that. And the house is right here. And there's a shop right there. That's the house. That's the shop. I'm sorry on Zoom, you can't see my lovely drawing. Okay. There's literally 11,000 square feet here to build a house. And this is like lot 4 and this one's lot 3. So put it under contract. We called Chicago Title. Chicago kicked it over to the person in charge of this. The person in charge of this said, yep, we confirm it's got 2 lots on it. Bam, rock and roll it. We have a 5-day inspection, close in 3 weeks. So $525. And then let's say I've got to spend $10,000 holding the property. Okay, just to hold it. So I've got $525 plus $10,000 to hold it, plus closing costs. So let's say another 45 grand. Okay, so guys, do your math. 525 plus 10,000 plus 45,000. 570?
Yeah.
Okay, 570,000. Okay. So so this lot, so I'm gonna, and this has a shop on it. Okay. So 525 minus 610.
Sorry, that's been.
Perfect. Could we make it?
I was trying to help.
Yep, okay. 610 minus 525.
85,000.
That I
85.
can do. I'll just stick to math.
Perfect. So I've got 85,000 plus, what is this?
525.
95, so 135. Okay, so if I just dump the house, I'm hard into this lot at 135,000. And this is not like a super nice or expensive area, and you go, well, you just paid 135,000 for a building lot. To be honest, not bad. But remember, it also has this giant shop on it. And this is zoned R5. So R5 now allows an ADU. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this permitted for one house right there, another house right there, and we'll keep the shop. And we're actually probably just gonna keep the whole thing and then use this to just run junk out of or rent the shop too. So when you look at it like this and you say it's 135,000, that's gonna be essentially my cost basis in this. Would you pay 135,000 for a piece of land with a 1,700 square foot shop and the ability to build 2 houses on it?
Absolutely.
Oh, sure.
This was sitting right in the MLS. It was on the market. I was the only offer. And this is what's crazy about this market is this market is always a dichotomy. There's always, like we were talking about, there's like bidding wars on the first time home buyer side. But then there's things that go on the market that are literally a smoking deal in plain sight. Okay, does this make sense real quick? The water and the sewer is literally right there. And this lot is flat as a pancake and it's like Marysville sand. So this is the cheapest, easiest build you can get.
What's it cost you to build the 2 homes?
To build each home is basically right now $1.75 a square foot.
What are you gonna build? Small renders?
Yeah, small. So like maybe 1,500 square feet and then maybe 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the 1,000 we'd probably just do as like a 2 to it, maybe even 900.
Okay, so what would you be all into that?
Oh, well, let's do some math. Let's go 900 and let's do 1,500. So we've got 2,400. 2,400 times 175.
420,000.
420,000.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the 135.
Yep, plus 135 for the lot.
You got loan costs and stuff.
Plus, hold on, plus, because we got house plans and permitting and things like that, so let's call that 30 grand. Okay. So,
585.
what is it?
585.
585? 585, and what's 2 houses in a shop worth right there? 700, 750? Okay, even in Marysville West right there?
Are you gonna rent it?
Yeah, we're just gonna rent and keep it.
Okay, so then how do you finance it?
Portfolio loan from a bank, local bank.
Today interest would be what?
So, great question. Jeff just asked, what do I think the interest rates are? So we're doing a refi up in Ferndale. And for a 1031, we bought those 3 duplexes from the townhomes, right? I called 29 banks this week. I called everyone I could find. I called local banks, community banks, I called lenders, I called portfolio lenders, I called public money lenders, I called private money people. I just kept calling people until I found one I liked. Commerce Bank told me they would give me 6.5. Okay, I want to tell you, everyone else was between 7.5 to 8.5. Yeah. So they're doing a refi for me right now. They were the most aggressive. But I think if you really fight for it, you could get 6.5 right now.
And they'll do that at 80% LTV or?
They'll do it at 80. Okay, but we'd probably go to 75.
Okay.
They said they would do the cash out refi at 80. I said, we only want 75.
So, what would that cash flow is? What would each one that for?
I don't, to be honest, Tony and I didn't think it through that far. Like this is in process. Here's what I thought. I knew I could get a lot for cheap and I knew I'd have a free shop.
Yep.
And so let's say, because we may rent the shop too. So what's a 1,700 square foot shop rent for on Marine View Drive? $400 a month. Okay, so let's call it 400 for that. So let's write this, 400 for the shop, and then a 900 square foot house. 1,500?
Yeah.
Okay, and then a 1,500 foot Rambler?
Maybe 2,000.
No, that's gonna be like 26.
Yeah. So wait, 1,500 for how much?
900.
900. So a small house?
Yeah.
I think it's more than that.
Yeah, I think actually it is. Yeah, you're totally right.
I
This
don't
is
know if
more
you can
like,
find anything for 15.
this is more like 1,900, and this is like 25.
There you go.
So what do we got there? You got 2,900, 39, 40, 47. Is that what it is? 4,700 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got 4,700 a month on 585 in debt.
And your monthly payment is 43.64.
Yeah, you make $300.
You got equity.
But you're
But
building.
also great question. Mine and Tony's goal specifically right now though, is acquire, cost seg, pay no taxes. So I'm actually, my only goals in 23 is acquire and lower my taxes. Cash flow is just a bonus. I just don't want to pay taxes. Yeah, because a decade later, you'll make a bunch of money anyway.
You trailer your little greenhouses for hotels.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is one thing that I wanted to really talk about, that I don't think we spend enough time talking about is real estate investing. This idea of freedom. Okay, so someone on Zoom, if you had X number of dollars coming in each month, how many dollars would you have to have coming in each month to be free? Okay, let me say this a different way. What is your base living expenses? Okay, let's say your base living expenses are, what do we want to call it? 7 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand? 7,500, perfect. Okay, so my base living expenses
Like
for,
steak. Can we bump that up to 10?
yes, that's fine. No, so
Easier math.
so my base expenses in a month is $10,000. So what I want you thinking about,
3,000?
3,000, that's a 30,000, right, Zoom user? 30,000, 30. So if it costs me $10,000 a month to live, this is my freedom number. If I have this in cash flow, positive net cash flow, I'm free. Yes or yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a lot of times what we do when we start our real estate investing, or even when we're deep in our real estate investing, this is the, I'm probably having this class more for me than you right now. I want to point this out. Is we lose track of what was our original goal. My original goal was freedom. And what happened along my journey is I just started buying everything I could find for no apparent reason. Okay. And so what I want to talk about is if our base living expenses is 10,000 a month, and I put this on your sheet so you can literally fill it in. What is our average cash flow per unit? Okay. And I'm going to give you a number if you don't have one. Your average cash flow per unit in our area, when you start out, is going to be like $200 a month. And what's going to happen is over a period of like 3 to 5 years, you're going to easily get to $500 a month. Okay. So do you guys want to pick $200 a month like we're starting, or do you want to pretend like the portfolio is already in process and you're making $500 a month?
Yeah,
Start at
start out.
200. Perfect. So now you look at this and you go, okay, $10,000 a month. Take your 10,000 and divide it by 200. Okay. This is 50 units. P.S. This is a lot easier to do in any place other than Washington State. I would want to point this out. Okay. We could buy 50 units in Tennessee for, you know, a couple $1 million. Okay. Here you get 2. Okay. So I'm joking when I say that, but so now you go, okay, 50 units. I have a number. I have something I can shoot for. See, the thing that we do a lot of the times in real estate investing is we don't define what we're trying to do. So I wanted to give you something to easily define. What's my freedom number? Well, my freedom number, if my expenses are 10K a month, is 10K a month in passive income. If I have an average of $200 a month coming in, that's 50 units. Now, look if it's $500 a month. Go 10,000 divided by 500.
So if you had those 50 units in Tennessee, would you still get the 200?
No, you'd probably be making more.
Oh, okay.
So most of the Midwest, you're much higher cash flow than we are. Your cash on cash return is higher. You don't have the appreciation there that we have. So you have to decide what game you're playing. And we own properties out of state too, and in state. The ones out of state, cash flow. The ones here will literally quadruple in value while that one goes up 10%. What game are we playing? Yes, in an ideal situation, we've been playing both. So if it's $500 a month, realize it's only 20 units. Trust me, even in our area, you'll get to $500. Once you hold something for 5 years, you'll hit $500 a month very easily, like no problem. So, but let's just go back to the 50 units and we go, okay, I've got 50 units. And we put together a timeline. And today, today, I have 0 units. Who wants to play the game and be the guinea pig? Guinea pig, perfect. You have 0 units. How many units or how much money could you put out? And to be honest, I need you to back it down. Because I need this example to be a little more real. How many units do you think you could buy in 2023?
A normal person?
Okay, let's call it 2. Let's call it 1.
Okay.
Okay, because one thing I want to show to everyone is that I've got 1 unit. So I went from 0, I moved up to here. This is 1. We will greatly overestimate what we'll do in the first couple of years, and you're going to greatly underestimate what you will do in 5 to 10. So this is kind of a decade-long plan. Okay, could you do it faster? Yes, and we'll explain how to like supercharge this. We want this to be like a normal human. Say about 1 house in 2023. In 2024, they bought 1 more. And you're like, come on, Anton, speed up. Okay. In 25, they were able to get 2. Okay. What happens after you've owned real estate for 3 years is this one starts to get equity. So in 2026, and I'm talking real specific in our Seattle metro, this may not happen in Tennessee, that's the whole problem. But in 2026, I can now sell this one or possibly cash out refinance this one to triple this position. So let's say I was able to buy 2 again on my own. Okay, so there's 2. And I take this one and this one gets me 2. Okay, so that year, so I went to 4. Okay, and then 4 more. So I'm up here and I went to 8. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So what happens is very simply, let's just say you do 2. This one doubles or triples. This one doubles or triples. And what will happen is basically at somewhere out here in year 9, you're going to go from like 22 units to 50. What happens though is this is what everyone does in their investing career. They make good money right here and then they buy a boat. They say, I have to have an Airbnb in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona. And they buy a $1.5 million Airbnb that no longer cash flows. We deviate from our original goal and we change the plan. So the real estate doesn't fail them, the plan does. Okay. When you started your career, what year was that?
97.
Yes. How much was a home in Marysville?
150.
Oh, less than that. That was a nice home. Because I started in 03, you could buy a good home for 150.
Yeah, and my husband's house was 80 something and everything.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's probably 90 grand, 80 grand, somewhere in there. So that $80,000 home is a $650,000 home today. My first home that I bought in 03 is a $700,000 home, and I paid $229,000 for it. And that just blows my mind.
Mhm.
So what you're looking at is, especially with the rise in appreciation, 23 is going to be a low appreciation year for us. Even if the economy sucks, I'll bet you money we start to get good appreciation in 24, 25, or in 26. Because we don't have enough houses.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
When you own 2 rental properties and both the rental properties are $500,000 and you get 10% appreciation, that's $100,000. 5% appreciation is still 50 grand. Okay, 500 plus 500 is a million. What happens is this literally goes exponential. And the first like 7 years, it looks like it's not going anywhere. But by year 5, it turns into its own business and starts growing. We are going to see that jump again.
Are we gonna see?
Oh,
that
are we
jump
gonna see
again?
that jump again? We're not gonna see the 18%, the 22%, but you could very much see above average appreciation in the metros that don't have housing. Not necessarily in all the metros.
You can also create it by buying, right?
Very well said. Zoom, what Jeff said was you can also create that appreciation by just simply buying it right, doing a rehab, remodel, something of that nature. You can force that appreciation to happen. But this concept right here is just one that I really wanted to kind of like bring home. I think everyone needs to define like, what is my freedom number? Okay. And if 50 units is your freedom number, you go, okay, how do I get 1 unit this year? How do I get 2 units this year? Because in that example I just showed you, Tony and I have been doing stuff together essentially since 2014. And then that partnership got serious in like 2017. So from 2017 to 2023, during that 5-year run, all of a sudden, like just this year alone, if we do nothing, what we're gonna keep is, well, the 6, 11, yeah, we're gonna keep like 16 units this year. And that was started from a home I wrapped in the last recession. And so you look at it and you go, literally, no money, no money, no money, no money, rob Peter, pay Paul, rob Peter, pay Paul. Oh, somewhere in there we're like, oh shit, we should get serious and actually turn this into a business. Okay, let's do that. Do you agree to this? Do I agree to this? Cool, sign the paperwork. But massive times during that, we've literally, hey bro, we don't have enough to finish this. Can your company kick in some money? Hey Anton, can you kick in some money? And we just have to keep feeding it. And then all of a sudden units were just vomiting out the back end now. And there's a series of projects that essentially pop out over the next 3 years that just vomit out units. And you go, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay. Yes, we can go to Tennessee, Kentucky, any one of those places. What's going to be really hard in today's market though, is to exit a value add. So if I go buy a 15 unit, a 20 unit in one of those places, or even 20 single families, even if I get them for a smoking deal and they've got phenomenal cash flow, when I go to put that into permanent debt because of the banking crisis right now, it's going to be a pain, which may mean that you might have to keep more cash in and not get that cash out, or you might have to go raise more money from other investors or whatever it may be. One of the cool parts about when you are close to home, you can build massive relationships and big networks. So during the banking crisis, I literally spoke to the CEO of Coastal over the weekend. Are we good, sir? We are good. Then my brain goes, wait a second, he's answering and talking right now. This question's been asked by a lot of people. Cool, double checking. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You're not going to get that relationship in Florida, in Texas, because it takes a long time to build those relationships or those bonds with the bank. And, you won't know all the roofers in the area and things like that. However, like we talked about earlier, cash flow does kind of suck in our backyard. What you have to be willing to do if you're playing in Western Washington is you gotta be willing to go for a decade and not make any money. And then in the second decade, you look like a genius. Well, as your properties roll over, you look like a crazy genius. Because we get so much appreciation here. And our rents are so high. Okay, this is another one that comes into play a lot that I think a lot of people don't think about, and I'm kind of totally getting off my topic, but I think this is really good, is how long should you hold a property?
Forever. Unless you trade it up to.
Yeah, I was gonna say unless you do, yeah.
Okay, this is such a really weird thing to be thinking about. And then also, how much debt should you keep on it?
As much as possible. Cash flows.
Yeah, that's actually the correct answer, is as much as possible. Okay, and the reason for that is inflation. So Molly puts 100 grand into the bank in 2023. Okay, and her savings account pays her just nothing. That way it just makes the math easy, which is almost true anyway. So, okay. In 2024, in the savings account is $100,000. You're like, well, I still have my 100 grand.
Maybe. As long as the bank's still solid.
Yeah, as long as the bank is still solvent.
As long as you don't have over 250.
There's a couple zeros missing for that.
Yeah.
This is the kicker, but inflation is 6%. So even though she has 100,000 in actual dollars,
Oh. I lost money.
okay, she has 94,000 in usable dollars. At 6% inflation, 6% went away. So in a high inflationary environment, or just any inflationary environment, does this also happen to your debt every month? So if I go borrow $1 million from the bank, and we're at 6% inflation, next year it's only worth 940 grand. This blew my mind. I was like, holy shit. Wait a second.
But you still owe on it.
Yes, but on a certain level, who cares? So let me caveat this. I am running a global 65% loan to value. And let me explain what I mean when I'm saying this. Oops, I can't even spell.
Hey, I like that though. It
G-
said gold.
Yeah, it was gold.
Yeah.
Your subconscious is thinking for
Okay. And then what I'm saying, yeah, it's God's money
you.
and it's called gold. So maybe I have properties that are 75 and 80% LTV. And maybe I have some car debt in there too. But I have cash and stocks and bonds that take me to a minimum global of 65. Does this make sense? I have other assets to offset this debt. And inside of those assets in an inflationary environment. So normally I'm telling you guys carry 6 months worth of reserves. Well, the economy just got worse. We're going to 12. Sorry, you need 12 now. It did, it got worse on Friday. When Credit Suisse went under, or no, when SVB went under and then Credit Suisse almost went under today, up your reserves. Okay, so I got my 12 months worth of reserves. I'm at 65 global. So then what happens is I don't care if I have the debt. I have extra cash to protect me and my family, my asset, maybe my homies, because we're all invested in something. There's extra cash sitting there. Rochelle asked me this morning if we could go clear stumps off of a property. I said, absolutely not. So we're not paying for anything else on that property. We are sitting on the cash and watching it. And she said, but the project's not gonna move forward. I said, I don't care. I'm watching it, even if we're just gonna watch it for the next 3 weeks and then we burn it later. I said, I don't feel comfortable today. I said, we're gonna find other people's money and we're gonna do it with theirs. So inflation is naturally eating your cash and naturally eating your debt. It also means I have to earn more than 6% or I'm going backwards. So this is the bugger. If inflation's 6 and I don't have at least a 6.25 cap on a property, I have a negative arbitrage on my own debt. Does that make sense? So when inflation is 6, I need a cap rate of greater than 6%. Otherwise, don't buy it. Like literally, you're actually better to pay cash. See, a cap rate is the definition of what the asset's performing at. So it's net operating income. So when they say it's a 5% cap rate, it means if I paid for the whole damn thing in cash, it would pay me 5%. Why would I get the debt or buy the asset when the debt's not helping me? Either don't buy the asset or pay cash. Okay, now of course I'm never gonna do that. Not until I'm old. I'll pay cash for things when I'm old. So one of the things that we can then look at in relation to this is we can start looking at our cash on cash returns. Okay, cash on cash return, real simple. You put 80 grand into the project, how much is it paying you? Not what did you pay, what did you put in? And what you will see is over time, your cash on cash return and your internal rate of return goes down. And there is a window somewhere between 3 to 7 years. That's a sweet spot with most assets. Your equity multiplier generally will go up during this time frame, but your cash on cash return and your IRR plateaus. If you're in a building phase, this is all you care about. So if you're younger, this is where, we talk all the time about real estate depends on your goals. It depends on your spot in life. I am in build phase. So all I want is high cash on cash return and high internal rate of return. As these numbers go down, I sell. And the reason I sell is I want to keep this moving fast. Let me explain cash on cash return in the most simple way possible. If you had a 50% cash on cash return, it means you would get all of your money back in 2 years. A 25% cash on cash return, you would be getting all of your money back in 4 years. 25 is what I said. Yeah, 20 would be 5. So you're trying to achieve cash on cash returns greater than 12%. In an ideal world, you'd get 20, 30. So would any of you buy an investment if you're making a 33% cash on cash return, you got all of your money back in 3 years? 100%. What you'll see then is if you got all your money back in 3 years, year 4, you're going to see your returns drop. Year 5, you're going to see your returns drop. You're going to see this. This is just called an equity multiplier. They use all these special terms. What equity did you start with? What does it become? Like, give me the simple version. An equity multiplier of 1.5. Started with 100 grand, and when you exit the asset, it's worth 150,000. That's a 1.5 equity multiplier. They use all these weird terms in this shape to try to confuse us. Okay. But when I see this happen, I should immediately exit and find another one that's going to give me another 15, 20, 25, because then I have the maximum velocity on my capital that's growing the fastest. Here's what happens to 99.99% of all investors. We buy something, we never measure it again. The tenant doesn't cause a problem, so we own it for a decade and a half. Decade and a half later, we go, you know what, that was kind of fun, we should sell this. There's nothing strategic in that plan. That's not working me towards my freedom number. I'm talking work towards your freedom number fast. Buy assets that perform. If they don't perform, get rid of them. So when Mike and I sold the building right over there, I said to Mike, I said, hey, we have made a phenomenal return, my friend. Here's the numbers. I want to demonstrate and show to you how now in year 6, our return is plummeting. And I showed him the cash on cash and the internal rate of return. And I said, can you see how this is going down? And he goes, makes total sense. I said, so let me say this another way. If I gave you your portion of this building, which is 100, no, shit, it was more than that. It's 248 each. So we made like $500,000. If I gave you 248 grand, could you make more than 16% on your money? And he goes, I totally could. I could just go buy a piece of land and build a house on it. I said, this is how I want you thinking. If you can make more, sell. If you can't, now you're just selling to sell. So a lot of the times when we get ready to do these 1031s and roll them into the next one, you need to line up your exit and know the numbers of the asset we're exiting into so that I can roll and go, roll and go. Otherwise, what happens is we're just willy-nillying it and winging it. Okay, this is really complex, so I'm going to stop for a second and just say, what questions do we have? Do you see how over a period of time it makes sense? So for most assets in real estate, you will always sell them within the first 10 years in order to maximize.
How do you know when that's happening?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you like do an example?
Do an example.
Just like a cash on cash return example, how you,
Like, how do you know, is it year 3, year 4?
This is this beautiful duplex. It's a beautiful duplex.
that's nice.
It's very nice. It's a nice duplex. Your duplex is making $800 a month. Okay. And to be honest, I should have written this out because I'm totally gonna screw this up. This math is too complicated.
Yeah.
But this duplex is making $800 a month. And you've got, it's a duplex here in Marysville, and it's a $950,000 duplex. And you've got $350,000 in equity. Okay, and it's only making you $800 a month. Trust me, this totally happens all day long. What happens then is, your question is, if I take this 350 and move it over here into this sixplex, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's a sixplex. It's very beautiful, beautiful drawing. And someone take 350 grand divided by 0.25.
That's wrong.
No, it's a big number.
1.4.
Yep. Yep. What was the number?
1.4.
1.42?
1.4.
1.4. Oh, perfect.
Look at how
Okay.
worked out.
So if I simply sell this property and move my 350 grand in equity, all of a sudden, this is 25% down. I can have a $1.4 million asset. Let's say the market's appreciating at 5%. 5%. 5%. Okay, what's 5% of 950,000? You guys should all be typing these on your phones because this is investor napkin math that you need to be able to do.
47.5.
47.5. Okay, what is 5% of 1.4? 70?
What is 5%?
Yep, 5% of 1.4
Sorry,
million.
70 grand.
70 grand. Okay. So this was an average of 400 per door. Okay. This one is going to be anywhere between 200 to 300 a door. Let's call it 250. Does everyone feel comfortable with my 250 number? 250. So 250 times 6. 1,500. Okay. In this example, I owed 600 grand. Okay. So my principal reduction in that example is probably, what, 18 grand a year? Some small number? Once again, this is why I actually needed to do real math. This part I'm guessing on. Okay? And this one is gonna be, well, it's gonna be like double. So this one's gonna be like 36. Principal reduction. Okay? My depreciation on this one. Okay, do you guys see where this example is going though?
Yeah.
What happens is we've got to go, okay, I've got X number of dollars in this property. If I redeploy that into the next property, can I magnify my results? Our cash flow in this example went from 1,800 to 1,500. 1,800.
800.
Oh, yeah, sorry, thank you. 800 to 1,500. My
Almost.
appreciation went from 47,000 to 70,000. My principal reduction went from 18 to 36. Plus, my tax write-off literally almost tripled. Because remember, I only owe 600 on this one. So that's probably where this one's to be depreciated at.
So in order to know when to do this, you're just constantly finding deals and then running the numbers and then double checking to see, and then you can see what these numbers, if you've hit that 4-year, 5-year mark.
You keep a spreadsheet of all of your rentals. So you need a portfolio tracker. And if you only have one, it's one, that's fine. That's where everyone starts. Everyone starts with one. Like people, we watch too much YouTube and TikTok and we just assume everyone should own 1,000 units. Well, even if they owned 1,000, they originally bought one to start with. So you put your portfolio tracker on there, and then on the portfolio tracker, it shows the amount you paid, the amount it's worth, so you know the equity, how much you pay, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, your total maintenance cost for the previous year divided by 12, and how much it rents for, the cash flow. And then if you've got 6 of them, you add up all the accounts, you show how much is in there, and you make sure you've got a minimum of 6 to 12 months of reserves in cash in the accounts for the 6 rentals. And then you run an LTV calculator. And then once a quarter, you have a meeting with your significant other or with yourself, and you review it. And you say, what is my problem property I hate? What is the property I love? Which one has the most equity and which would be the easiest to sell? Oh, this one has 350 grand in it. Cool. Where could I put it? Oh, I found a 6 unit. Cool. Maybe it's time to sell it and redeploy.
That makes so much sense.
Okay. But the thing is what real estate investors do is, because I know real estate agents, they're my people, and I'm one of them. We just do it and be like, well, that was cool. I own a property. I mentioned I own a property. Like, I own a property. You own a property? I own a property. And we just walk around and tell everyone we own a property, and then we never do shit with it. We never look at it ever again. We also don't maintain them. You need to pump 0.5% of the assessed value into a property every year. Otherwise, a decade later, it'll cost you 10-20% all at once, maybe even 25. So what happens is you can get away, you can cheat. And this is part of the other reason you punt them quickly. I'm not saying we do this, but I'm saying people do. They don't do all the maintenance and then they punt them at like year 5 before there's even a maintenance problem.
Or you have a renter that never tells you about anything, and then when they move out, you're screwed.
One just moved out of Lake Stevens. It's going duplex in Lake Stevens. It's going to be a $16,000 bill. Part of the game. Who cares? I love it. Let's rock and roll. you have a separate spreadsheet that calculates this for each property. That same once a month, you plug it in, because internal rate of return, in order to calculate this, you have to know an exit, like you have to have a date at which you plan to exit. Otherwise, you can't calculate that. And then I just run my cash on cash return the most ghetto simple way possible. Let's say I put 100 grand in here. So this would be my cash on cash return. I would take 800 times 12 divided by 100 grand. But there's my cash on cash return. Sweet. And then I go, oh, wait, this is still my original 100 over here. Now it's getting me 1,500. I'm getting a better return. Okay, but what I do is I now call it 350 and look at it a little bit different. Okay, so how do you really cheat this? Develop a piece of property, rezone a piece of property, flip it, rehab it, add another bedroom onto it, convert the garage, slap it in RV hookup like the guy in Tacoma.
I was gonna say that about your Marysville thing.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good spot for it.
Okay, what's rattling around your guys' brain? This is a really fun discussion. So I want to just kind of mentally recap. And then, do you have a recommendation for a good portfolio tracker? No, Angie, I don't have a good recommendation for a portfolio tracker. We have a simple spreadsheet that we have made. And one of these classes, I'll just bring it in and show everyone how to use the spreadsheet. You're gonna laugh and be like, this is dumb. The more simple you make your spreadsheet, actually, let me say this a different way. You don't even need a spreadsheet, but you do need to review the numbers once a month and check in on it, and then have a deep dive once a quarter. And if that's on a spreadsheet or you do it on the back of a piece of paper, that's the most important part. Inspect what you expect, review it, talk about it, because I've met so many investors, because I've worked with investors a long time. They'll be like, this duplex has been amazing. And I go to sell it for them and I say, cool, give me your returns. And I was like, well, no, this has been a horrible duplex. This thing's been a money pit. All you've done is sink money into it for the last 5 years. They don't know because they don't go back and run the numbers. And it's just 5 grand here, 10 grand here, 15 grand there. It was a horrible investment. I mean, don't get me wrong, even horrible investments in real estate do well, but they could have done even better. Rezone, flip, develop, adding extra rooms, adding an ADU, anything that creates quick value is what makes these returns shoot up. What everyone wants to do is everyone wants to play the game or the hand they were dealt, and they assume the MLS is the hand. Do any of you, including you on Zoom, want an owner financed property that you can put 10% down on and have the owner carry it?
Okay, me.
Cool. How many of you create a list of 1,000 duplexes in Snohomish County and will call every single one of them to ask them if they would owner finance it for you?
Obviously, I don't want it that bad then.
Okay, so and I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm trying to be
No,
real.
serious, me too.
Is that there's an opportunity sitting right in front of you. We know awesome people in title companies that can give us these lists, and then we can go skip trace this data, get a giant list of phone numbers, and just sit down and sit your ass down and dial for 5 days straight. Phil's on Zoom. I was mentioning to Phil, in 2005, I sat in the bullpen for 4 days straight. Might even have been 2004, and I made phone calls literally 4 days straight. And that was all I did to this giant land list I had made. And I ended up having 276 conversations. We made 9 offers, and I got 4 of them. So essentially, I got a deal a day. Now I had to work 12, 13 hours a day, calling these people.
Sleep under the desk.
Sleep under,
Oh, that was
yeah,
the end,
yeah, that was in the recession. No, this was still good times. The market was still going up.
BPOs.
But we get tricked. So the matrix, right? The matrix is trying to keep you on the MLS. Just consume, just pay your taxes, take this pill, you'll be fine.
Is that why it's called matrix?
What?
Is that why MLS is called?
That's why the MLS is called the matrix. These are actually part of it. And what I'm saying is I want you to get off the MLS. So get off I-5. We're going on a dirt road out here in Savannah through the farm fields. Okay, booneying down the dirt road. We're making calls for off-market stuff, so I don't gotta compete with everyone else. There was a duplex in Cedar Woolley that went on last week. JP DeBoer listed it. Went on at 454,000 in Cedar. Smoking deal. And I looked at it and I go, this is gonna sell for 100 grand more, easy. Omar walked in, I said, hey, did you write an offer on that one in Cedar? Because he's looking up there, wants to buy one. And he said, no, I didn't even see it. Call him right now, figure out how many offers he got. I go, I'll bet he got like 8. And it's probably 100 grand over list. He got 15 offers and a backup.
This was just like last week.
That was on the market, came on Thursday or Friday. Okay,
Because of that Friday.
but
JP should just buy.
Yeah.
bingo.
Right.
That's where thank you. If someone came to me and said, list this duplex for 450 grand, I'll go, why don't I just buy it from you? Matter of fact, let's knock some commissions off, save some money, I'll buy it. Sounds good. You want to sell it for that? I'll buy it today. No problem.
Yeah, he could have grabbed it for 10.
Let's just say he could have grabbed it for 500.
Yeah.
It's probably worth, like, you need a little fix up. Okay, but fixed up, so let's just say 20 grand, fix up 595. So,
JP should do this.
so, no, and that's, he's a phenomenal agent, so that's not a,
He's a fantastic agent.
yeah, that's not an attack on him personally, phenomenal agent. But how do I get these numbers higher? Well, I gotta find a deal. And if I can't find a deal, don't buy it, or go hunt more.
I think it's important that you're talking about that because a lot of sellers, there's opportunity to just buy your listings.
Yep.
And sometimes we only have the real estate representative hat on when we can just figure out what their number is and say, oh, well, let's buy it.
Or you know somebody that will.
So, you wanna share?
Look, this one in Mount Vernon.
Yep.
Yeah, so I had this happens quite a bit, you know, I end up with listings that are a little beat up and I just give people 2 prices. I say I could buy it here, I could list it here. What would you prefer? And a lot of people just would like me to buy their home and be done with it, not have to list it or do anything. So I picked one up in Mount Vernon for 200 grand. Would be worth 380 when I'm done with it. It's cost me 30 to 50,000. You know, so we'll have built-in 100 grand equity.
If you get all of your money back in the refinance in less than 1 year, cash on cash return, infinity, not calculatable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's actually called a money printing machine. Yeah, the Federal Reserve has one too, it's infinity.
Yeah.
And I've done that a lot, and I wish I would have kept all the other ones. We were just talking about that prior to this class when the interest rates were 3%.
Yeah.
You know, now I get to play with it at 6.5.
Yeah.
Which I can still make it work, so I'll be all in $250,000
Yeah.
total, right? I think, you know, we miss the opportunities that are right in front of us, because at least what I did, and you know, I've done this for 20 years, is I always thought representing your sellers meant getting them as much money as possible in their pocket. But there's also another currency of simplicity, where they don't want agents showing their homes. They just want it done. Like the house has deferred maintenance, they're like, just buy it.
Yep.
You can get a good deal.
Yep.
Create a win-win.
Yeah, they don't have to get it ready, you don't have to do anything.
So for
That was
us
my
on-
word for the year. Simplify.
Absolutely, amen, sister. So for us on Zoom and us in here, I want us to put our investor hat on, and the first thing I want us to think is, can I buy this? And then the second thing I want you to think is, can me and my homies buy this? Then the third thing that we're gonna think is, okay, who can I get this to? So one thing I did a lot of in the beginning of my career, looking back, and I just didn't know any different, was I just plugged everyone into massive deals. Massive deals. And I just did deal after deal after deal, and I never listed them or ever did anything with them. Because to be honest, it was faster to sell it to the investor, builder, developer than it was to put it on the market and go deal with them. I just bring in the person, make my commission and go. Okay, now those people taught me what I know, so I'm extremely grateful for all of them, amazing humans. But I made hundreds of thousands of commissions, and most of it never hit the market, and they made millions. And all I've ever done is just copy what they did. But looking back, if my hat would have just been on like, oh, I'm gonna buy this first, I mean, I'd be just massively ahead of my current position.
You should have a class on shouldas,
Yeah.
right? Because it'd be a time machine.
Yeah.
You could talk about, okay, I wish I had done this, this, and this. 'Cause we always, we have our wins, right?
Yeah.
But we get to our wins by learning from our mistakes.
And I would happily, not on Zoom, I'll do that one in person.
Show up for the show.
No, I'll put up a whole timeline and be like, wins, loss, win.
You could probably count for $10 million of missed opportunities, right?
when we as normal little people cold call on all the properties, how do we know if it's worth it?
You can quickly look at tax assessed value, Zillow, Redfin, to get a ballpark. And just a quick ballpark, even if you're not plugged in the MLS and don't know what it is, if it's tax assessed for 250, Zillow says 300, Redfin says 300, and I know I can buy it from this particular seller for 200, write the offer, figure it out in the inspection. So in that situation, we get the deal tied up, then we solve the back end of, did I actually get a good deal? What we do instead is we go into analysis paralysis, so we don't take the action, and we worry about the what ifs, like how am I going to pay for the deal? How should I put this together? What should it be? If you get a quick at a glance and you think it's a deal, put it under contract and do an inspection. And during that inspection timeframe, then we'll figure out if it's an awesome deal, get all the right people glued in, figure out how to finance it, all that jazz. Good, cool.
I think it's in that, when you had the chart and you
Yeah.
were saying, you buy one, and then you maybe buy one, and then you buy two, and it's
Yep.
going up. And then that's where people buy the boat.
Yep.
I just think it's a mindset, right? Because you get to the part where you forget what you're doing.
Bingo. Like I said this class is more for me, and I love all of you, but I'm sitting around sometimes and I look at what I'm doing and I go, how did I get here? And you go, oh, I wasn't being as intentional, purposeful, and I was making it too complicated and not being as simple as possible. So what if I was just to break it down as simple as possible? Cool, as simple as possible. So my affirmation I've been writing for 2 years is 20K in cash flow by the end of 2023. I've just been writing it. And then I added to it and I wrote 20K in cash flow by 2023 and 5,003 units by 2025. I have no freaking clue how I would make that happen, but I write it every day. I just write it and I write it. So my subconscious is working on it and it makes, oh, in the MLS, look at that. There's a deal right there. I should buy that shit. Hey, Robin, how are you? Hey, buddy, what's going on? And it's like, hey, I want to look at this property. Well, I'm going over there. Hey, can I meet you over there? Drive over there, look at the property. Hey, Robin. You know what's really funny? If we do this deal, that'll be the second good investment property I bought from Robin. Second great one. The other one is approved for 17 units on 113th in here in Marysville. Robin was a listing broker. Threw it on, pick up the phone, here, Robin. It's like, looks like you have a piece of shit White House there. It's like, yeah, total piece of shit. I'd like to buy that piece of shit. He goes, cool, I don't have any offers. Well, if I sent you over a full price offer, a quick inspection, said we could buy, yeah. So we paid 350 grand for it.
Something that's all boarded up.
Yep,
Oh, that, I've
yep,
been driving by that one. for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, behind a
Yeah.
tool
Furniture
place,
world.
yeah.
yep,
Yep.
That's yours.
yep, 17 units going right there, 3 stories. Bam.
Be nice.
8.4 million in real estate will go in right there. I'll keep 20% as
On
the,
State Street right there.
yep, I'll keep 20% as the developer for doing the whole project. My mom funded it via her trust, so my mom gets to keep 26%. My mom will then later on get paid 950,000 when we sell it, and she'll own 25% and I keep 20%, put the whole thing together.
You're putting 18 units in that thing?
17. Oh, yes.
That's another class.
It's like a quarter acre, a third of an acre.
Cause units,
Dude, how do you get 29 over there by Cedar Crest?
they just had a thing on the news, units are getting smaller and smaller.
No, I bet they're too big. They're like 1,900 square feet. They're
Oh, those are
huge.
huge.
Across from Cedar Crest is 29.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, that's the home run.
Yeah, that was a bat rattler.
You gotta talk about the home runs in a different class, right?
Yeah,
Those are like the power turbo boosters.
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's just, if you.
That's
go-
what bought those 3 duplexes in Ferndale.
If you go back to when you were giving everybody else deals and just making the commissions
Yeah.
on the deals and had the different mindset, I think there's a lot of people that have that mindset or even are afraid to like jump into the investor seat, you know?
Well, this was actually my script. So I'm gonna give you the multi-million-dollar script.
There you go.
Molly, I'm gonna bring you as many deals as humanly possible if you would explain to me 2 things. Does that sound good to you? These 2 things are very simple. I need to understand your buy box and how you close. That's number 1. And number 2, you need to explain to me everything you're doing. If you explain to me everything you're doing and you clarify how you purchase, I'll bring you as many deals as I can find. But you have to tell me everything. I want to see your financials. I want to see them before, after. I want to stop by at weird times when you're doing something and you need to answer all my questions. I'm dead serious. I was annoying because you got to remember, I'm in my 20s. So I was like, you're me. This is the polished, calm down version.
Mhm. I can imagine you storming around.
Yeah, like, I'm here. Show me what's up.
Spit on myself.
So I'd show up to the flip that, some guy would be doing. And I'd walk through and I would say, why did you do this? How much did that cost? How long is this taking? And I would literally just pepper them with like 20 questions until they got exhausted. Then I'd just come back a week later and do the same thing again. I bless Mike Hansen's soul. That guy I probably annoyed the shit out of more than anyone else in the whole wide world. But you get, when people have specific knowledge about something, I mean, we're doing it right now. They want to tell you.
Yeah.
And so it was a massive exchange of value. Here's a deal. Tell me how you're doing it.
Got it.
And then what happened was I had enough money and then I had lines of credit, bless you, Walmoo. And I was able to start doing it on my own. Well, and then 2008 happened.
Right.
This guy's calling.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, Kiyosaki was reading his book Fake. It's an incredible book. And they would just find the agents that would list multifamily and they would just become their preferred buyer and allow them to take a 10% commission instead of doubling it. Just say, bring everything to me. And 10%. And I think they give them a little bit of ownership. And so then all those agents that are listing all those multifamily, they just call Robert Kiyosaki up and go, hey, we got it for you.
Yeah.
And so, if the agents, you find agents that are producing those properties or even rough ones, they can double it and send it to you.
And how many units does he have?
Kiyosaki, 5,000.
No, he's got more. He's got like 14. 14,000 units. Oh, man. And then Ken McElroy, his other homie, his friend, he's got 20,000. Yeah. At a 50% LTV.
And they all had to start with one.
And they all had to start with one. Well, I mean, another good example, Scott Dahl's here in Everett.
Yeah,
Scott Dahl started with a fourplex. They were teachers. Okay. Williams Investments, there's another juggernaut. Okay. Scott Womack, another juggernaut. Scott's got 3,500 units in his pipe coming. When I sat next to Scott at the Coastal Lodge, I said, hey, how many units you got coming? He goes, oh, we got about 3,500 coming. That you're still building? It's like, oh, cool. Good job, dude. And his, you can always tell which ones they are. They're kind of like that brown and green ones with the white windows. And it's like the same box and just different proportions of the same box. It's like, he just nailed that model. And he just prints that model out in different sizes. Okay, everyone, unless you have something else, we're gonna call it a day. Zoom, that includes you. Room, that includes you. Bueller,
Bueller.
Oh, I got a thumbs up.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, no, thanks, Alicia, for hanging out with us. All right, have a good night, guys.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Hopefully we can. do
It's
that
really hard
one.
to always communicate with people on, and there's,
I'm just gonna stop recording it first.